is bound to happen. Human beings, we make mistakes. So there'll always be an opportunity to forgive and overlook others. And there'll always be an opportunity that we get blessing from people. Allah says that, the Prophet Muhammad said that one who is not thankful to creation is not thankful to Allah, meaning that we should be proactive to be thanking others, even if they've done such a little bit for us, that, we shouldn't just expect that people do things for us. Rather, even if they do a little bit, whether it's cook, clean, maybe do the rights, that even if we have the rights upon them, we should still thank them, because this is this is the quality of Allah, ash-shakur, that they're thankful to us, they bless us, even though that these are the rights of Allah upon us. So this shouldn't be an excuse that this is my right upon them, they should be doing this anyway. Rather, you should be thankful. You should thank others and appreciate them. This is what exercising and developing that quality. So again, this all ties back into taqwa. How? Because when one is now fasting from the sins and is now doing these nawafil acts of worship to develop more presence in the mind and munajat in the heart, and one can now manage their time, and actually managing time is, we could say, the core of this, because without that you wouldn't be really able to do any of these acts, and then able to have the right mindsets of how to help others and the right mindsets behind helping others, then inshallah we can all benefit from this Ramadan really and truly, and it can be a transformational experience, that one comes into Ramadan in one state and leaves as if that Allah is with them and is hearing them and is seeing them, and that they are now reflections and, you could say, like fountains for others to benefit from. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ represents, that they are innaka ala khuluqin adim, that they are of immense character, and that is mentioned that they only came to perfect character. And this is really the connection, is through the character of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, these methodologies, these teachings are not just for Ramadan, but really for the companions. Ramadan was 12 months a year. It was for the entire year. It was for 365 days. It was all year. But rather, Ramadan specifically was an opportunity that Allah made it obligatory on the ummah that they should look inwards and develop this connection with taqwa. It's a bit like Ramadan was like the intensive, meaning Allah is giving you extra blessing. Why? Because one, you're not eating. So if one is not eating and they're letting go of halal, then how easy is it for them to let go of haram? If I can let go of something that I do every day, then surely that's teaching me that, lying, backbiting, I should definitely, it should be easy for me to let go of that, because how can I, I've been able to let go of the hardest thing, food and water. I need this. So that's one. So Allah has blessed us with the fast. The second is Allah has blessed the month by removing shayateen, meaning that we know this month the big negative influences in our life, these are removed, and chained up. It's only the small ones, but sometimes, some of us still make hell in Ramadan, meaning we make people in our lives hell, meaning this, we can't blame this on shaitan anymore. We have to blame ourselves. So meaning that the state that we entered in Ramadan, and we didn't do anything about it. So this is another fadila and blessing of Ramadan. So one should treat Ramadan as like the intensive, the moment that you should start this journey, but rather you then continue on this journey. And this is taught in detail in the Purification of the Heart course. This course, for the first time we are running, first time we are running this 2 classes in parallel. So alhamdulillah, we've run this for over 5 different cohorts, and this comprises of 6 sessions, weekly sessions, that are going to be taught on either Friday evening, so from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. So for those who have childcare, we have picked times that hopefully will be available for you, for maybe when the children are sleeping. And for those who won't be obviously going to Taraweeh in the mosques, maybe this time you can now utilize to learn how to get closer to Allah practically, not theoretically, practically in practice. And then option 2 is on Sunday afternoons. So for those who maybe can't do later evenings of Friday, we have an afternoon session for 2 hours a week, 6 sessions, which will conclude after Ramadan, but it will go through a systematic method on how to develop those inner qualities. So Ramadan is like, you could say, the intensive, but really the journey is a lifelong journey, and there's an entire methodology. There's also mentoring and coaching, because one can't expect that they just do this by themselves. Why? Because you are now dealing with your inner self. And when you're dealing with your inner self, one needs, like a doctor. when you're dealing with your physical inner self, like your organs, your heart, your intestines, you have to go to a specialist who understands how these things work. But much like that, when one has spiritual diseases, like, we have cancer, but there's also spiritual cancer, arrogance, pride, envy, then it requires a doctor to understand how to remove these. So purification of the heart teaches one, just like the method of Ramadan, how to slowly strip these qualities and then develop those inner qualities that reflect the qualities of the Prophet ﷺ and the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one can live their life as if they have a beautiful relationship with Allah and they have a beautiful relationship with the creation. This is the outcome that we all want in life, not just in Ramadan, in life. So inshallah, for those that are interested, there's a website, wiselifeacademy.eventbrite.com. You can sign up. We are oversubscribed, so we've just extended spaces. So please take advantage of this. We cannot promise that you'll get a space to attend. So inshallah, there'll be links provided in both the Zoom and the YouTube chat windows and Facebook live chat windows for you to take advantage of. The second workshop class and series that will be delivered is Freedom from Addiction. So this starts tomorrow and it's taught from 3:30 p.m. in the UK to 6 p.m. In the evening. So this is for 2.5 hours, including question and answers. And this will be teaching people how to enter Ramadan, freeing themselves from addiction. Some of us enter Ramadan and Shaitan has done his work. What has he done? He knows he's going to be locked up. So he programs us to have addictions towards certain sins that we can't get rid of even in Ramadan. So inshallah, there's going to be, this has been created and designed under the instruction of Sheikh Ahmed Dabbagh, Hafidhullah wa Rada'an, and designed by addiction coaches and medical professionals who both can bring the science and the habit changing aspects as well as the spiritual aspects of how one can free themselves from these sins. So inshallah, these are all free and are here to benefit the community, especially in these times, and how we can, like our blessed teacher mentioned, Ustad Abdul Rahim, that how we can improve our lives. We should be looking to improve our lives every year. So inshallah, again, a link will be shared and you can find a link for this on wiselifeacademy.eventbrite.com. And so inshallah, if anyone has any questions or any comments, inshallah, they can mention them, and I'll give it back to our beloved brother, Ustad Tawsif. If anything that I've said, goodness is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and through the mashaykh, and everything that is bad and confusing is from only myself. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair to all of the Ustads and for all of you, MashaAllah, to still be with us in the webinar. I appreciate it is challenging to follow through attending classes online. So we really appreciate your presence and your attention throughout this webinar. Alhamdulillah, we've had over 15 questions asked in the Q&A plus the chat and also across YouTube and Facebook. Many more questions, and we tried to answer as many as we could. Now we like the opportunity to bring our Ustads forward. So if there are any questions in relation to the topic, particularly around the levels of the fast or any of the practices that have been mentioned, then this is a really good opportunity to ask the Ustads directly. As was clarified before, there are many courses online. Also books that have been written by our classical ulama and scholars on the rules of fasting. So, what breaks a fast, what, whether you can brush your teeth with toothpaste and all these things. So these are already covered, but what is not covered in as much detail is the inner dimension of fasting and how we can really attain taqwa, let alone understanding what it is, but also practically working towards it. So this is what has been hopefully provided as an overview to you today. And inshallah, if there are any questions, you can put your hand up and then we can unmute you. You can ask the question if you're on Zoom. And if you would like, you can still ask anonymously via the Q&A, or if you would like your name, you can also ask directly in the Q&A. And also you can type the question in the chat box. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, just please ask the question in the comments and we'll try our best to get there, inshallah. So I'll ask now our Ustaz to come on be available for the Q&A, inshallah. Okay, Bismillah. So we do have, there was actually a question, inshallah, we can begin with, which was asked in via YouTube. And the question was around the tahajjud times. So how someone, or the amals that have been shared, what is the best way to recite these, and when one should recite? So if they're not able to recite in tahajjud time, when someone can recite them as an alternative.
Saad Rahim or Saad Majid, would you like to take this?
Sorry, if you can just repeat that again.
The question was that the amals were mentioned, some athkar were mentioned to do during tahajjud time. If someone's not able to do them, when is the best alternative?
MashaAllah, they should firstly create a timetable like it's been mentioned, and you can fit the timetable according to your availability. Now, the tahajjud time is the best time to recite certain askars. However, everyone's timetable might be different. They might have morning work or something. So a person should do it according to their availability. Now, certain askars can be done before tahajjud time. If you want to do tahajjud askars, then one is fearful that he might not wake up for tahajjud, then they can do it after Isha prayer, for example, or after midnight is also fine. However, one should do the askars or the amals that has been mentioned according to their timetable. So like the munajat, like the tasbeehs, etc. Try and do it according to your timetable if it's too difficult to do at the tahajjud time. So everyone's timetable will be different, and a solution has been given to plan ahead. So you have the opportunity to plan before Ramadan comes. Certain days you're working, certain days you'll be off. So the days that you are following day, you can, inshallah, do the amals at tahajjud
time. The next question being asked is, in regards to Taraweeh, should we complete 20 rakats, 20 units of prayer, or focus on the presence in Salah?
So for this, you have to remember that, Taraweeh only comes once a year. So it's a blessed opportunity to pray these Taraweeh. Obviously, the quantity is the quality is always better in one regards, the concentration. However, especially the month of Ramadan, the Taraweeh is only 20 rakats. However, we don't get opportunity like this throughout the year. So even at Taraweeh times, there are certain angels that descend in order to, you can say, for you to benefit more. So I would recommend that you pray much as you can with concentration. And inshallah, there is a methodology, inshallah, if you go on the purification course, there's different levels of spiritual salah as well, how your salah can be improved at different levels. Like you see the levels of Ramadan, the levels of fast, there is also method of the levels of spiritual salah, which you, inshallah, which can be shared, and inshallah on the purification course you may be taught this. If you get in touch with the brothers, inshallah, they will teach you. And inshallah, we may do a session on this through Ramadan, spiritual levels of salah.
Inshallah, we have a questioner on the Zoom call. Inshallah, we'll unmute him now. Please, brother, I think it's Brother Faisal. Please go ahead.
Sorry, it was an accident actually. Sorry, I have no questions. Jazakumullah khairan.
Thank you, no problem. Okay, so we do have a few more questions that have come through. So one is, what was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's timetable? As in, was there a sunnah timetable? When to sleep, and when did he do active worship?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There was in fact a Sunnah timetable, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We may be able to send it out to the participants. I'm not sure if we have it on PDF or not, but broadly speaking, after to take it from Maghrib, for example, and this is just an overview. Others may have more detail. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after say praying Maghrib and doing the evening adhkars and the awwabin salah, have some family time. They pray the Isha salah, and then they would sleep for a short while. Then the Prophet would wake again and do some more worship at night. They would sleep again, and then they would wake again. And this is all within the tahajjud time, and then do additional worship up to Fajr. Then they would do their blessed morning adhkars right up till 20 minutes post Fajr, pray again, and then the Blessed Prophet would rest. They would do their daily activities, and then they would sleep again for a short while, and then the cycle would continue like that. I'm not sure if any of the other stars wish to add any more to that.
Jazakallah khair. So there's a couple more questions in the Zoom, and inshallah we'll ask the brothers who are monitoring the Facebook to also update us with any of the additional questions. So is munajat similar to muraqabah, and is it better to do dhikr or to talk to Allah?
The Majid, if you answer that.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. One thing I would say, inshallah, with all these questions, it's if we take a step back, even the one about Tarawih and Tahajjud, they're not necessarily either or. Both are well. I mean, munajat specifically refers to speaking with Allah, and muraqabah has that inner presence. Now, the question. So, I mean, to ask whether one is not necessarily. I think the question is one act of worship more superior to another. I think the question is actually it will come back the practical sessions where you have time slotted in. So say munajat, muraqabah. There's also a place for dhikr as well, if as the questioner asked, just doing zikr. But it will go back to what is it that builds your connection with Allah. So as Ustad Haroon was saying in the timetabling and with the munajat and so forth, that actually if you can schedule in the munajat, muraqabah, dhikr, then that's ideal. However, the emphasis of the worship should be that which brings you closer to Allah, developing your worship, your connection with Allah. So, for example, if one is just used to just doing dhikr, for example, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, it's a beautiful dhikr, but if it's just something that's recited parrot fashion, is that bringing you closer to Allah? Versus actually spending just 15 minutes doing munajat or time just doing muraqabah and building that connection with Allah. How many of us have actually spoken to Allah with our hearts, not with our tongues, a dedicated time, 15 minutes every day, just engaging with Allah, talking to your Lord, your Creator, your Sustainer, about your problems, about your issues, about what's good, what you want to achieve. That will develop a stronger relationship with Allah than just doing something less parrot fashion. I hope that should answer the question, actually.
So one more in regards to the level 4 of the spiritual fast. So the question is asking, Salam Ustad, Jazakallah khair for your time. Could the level 4 spiritual fast be explained in greater detail as to what it includes specifically, please?
So inshallah, level 4 fast is to do good with the body now. So not only before a person was observing that he did not commit sins or disobedient with the whole body, or level 3. Level 4 is now you actually implement goodness coming inside the body now. So with the tongue, he will increase in doing the amals of the tongues, which is like has been mentioned, or like Brother Ustad Haroon mentioned about certain amals you could be doing. So focusing on these amals is the level 4, that the person is more focused around these amals and implementing goodness around his day-to-day life. So doing good with the hands, helping people, doing good with the ears, listening to recitations, or listen to people's problems, helping people, really not just benefiting yourself, but now widening this goodness to other people, so they also benefit, and using the physical body in order to help them as well, inshallah. So now, before it was level 3 was to abstain from the sins of all of the body. Level 4 is to do goodness and implement goodness and good qualities using the body to function, inshallah. If there's anything else that needs to be added, inshallah, the ustaz can add.
Okay, so the next question is, what is the best way to develop presence in worship? When I think of the 3 keys, I don't feel connected. It just feels superficial. How do I feel pure connection?
I think this has got to do with depending when you're using the 3 keys. Now, if one is using it in worship, like prayer, the 3 keys, then, like I said, there are, about 10 levels, spiritual levels of salah, for example. And each posture, a person remembers one of the 3 keys, that Allah is with me in my prayer, meaning He's with me, His qualities are always around us, He's hearing us, seeing us, present with us. Using the 3 keys, Allah is watching me, Allah is hearing me, and Allah is present with me in every posture that person does in salah, reminding oneself of them. So then a person builds on these things. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen, flick of a switch. It needs practice, inshallah. So inshallah, more you practice these things, the more you monitor your presence, inshallah, the more quality and more presence you will feel. Now, if a person is then referring, okay, I'm in a wakeful state, and building the 3 keys, now we have a quality called sincerity, that whatever actions you do in your day-to-day life, major actions you do in your life, be it cooking food, be it working time, be it family time, exercise, whatever it is. Now, 3 things you should do in there is that you think of Allah at the beginning, that, oh Allah, I'm doing this to attain your pleasure and to attain Jannah in the hereafter, to please you. And then you remember this thought at the beginning of the action, before you do the action, at the middle, and at the end. And what happened, that whole, you can say, amal that you do, whatever it may be, during your routine, it becomes the worship of Allah. Then you build on these things. Again, this all is taught in the purification of the heart course. Inshallah, it goes into more detail of the heart, body, mind, and soul, inshallah. So, inshallah, if a person partakes in that course, one can benefit even more, inshallah.
Okay, so just a couple more questions, inshallah. And the next one is, as women are unable to get a block of time and are interactive with children during chores, how can they do the extra nawafil ibadah? For example, how can you do some ibadah whilst cooking or cleaning? So this may apply also to men, inshallah, but just as a question.
Inshallah, one of those stars can opportunity to join.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think to answer that question is the answer of the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of our blessed mothers, or the Sabihans, asked the blessed Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They said that the men of this ummah have the deen, i.e. they can go and perform jihad, they can go and perform other activities, etc., whilst we are at home, nurturing the children and so forth. And the blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, just by doing what you're doing, you get all of their reward and more. All of their reward and more. So there can't be a better answer than that. But But one thing I would say, and I'll again, it just takes a step back, inshallah. And one of the purposes of this particular webinar, or this workshop, we notice is that it's all about the mindset. And so the mindset for, especially for sisters, and not just for sisters, Instructor Tasif just said, also sometimes for men in terms of what activities they have, is actually the mindset is that when you're doing nurturing your children, these are children that Allah has given to you. Running a household is something that Allah has bestowed upon you. And this is all worship, and all you simply have to do, which is the uniqueness of our religion, is that we can turn lead into gold. How? By just changing or modifying our attention. If we do it for Allah, if we're serving our spouses, if we are nurturing our children and so forth for the pleasure of Allah, then we get all the reward and more. Allah knows our intentions. So that would be the point I would say, just to reassure them. And then there's other dhikr, of course, the supplications, the adhkars, that can be done while someone is doing the honorable duty of the household and other activities. But the mindset is the key piece here, and the intention that you are doing it for the pleasure of Allah. So then we can turn, that's why people can work all day in the fields in the days of old, or work day in the office, but provided the intention is modified, is corrected, then that all becomes worship. And remember, that's exactly what taqwa is. That's what the spiritual fast, everything you're being taught is about that mindset, i.e. being present with Allah, so that everything becomes about Allah. Inshallah, that should answer the question.
Okay, so we have one final question. Are there any specific invocations that carry extra blessing this month?
Instructor Harun, do you want to take that with the amals that you mentioned as well?
So inshallah we'll be sharing a PDF. In the PDF, it has, as mentioned and outlined very briefly, is the, like, for example, the Salat al-Tasbih and the Munajat and the Dhikr and the Hajjud Amals. And there are other particular Amals that are also mentioned in the document. But really, one should focus on doing what they are already doing, and also decorating their timetables and their free time with these additional acts of worship. And inshallah, like anything done in the month of Ramadan is, as mentioned, like in Laylatul Qadr, that 1 month is like 80 years, 83 years of worship, 1,000 months. So one can think like Ramadan is somewhat of a multiplier. So any act of worship is also considered even more blessed. Just like any sin that is committed in Ramadan is even more grievous because it's the blessed state of Ramadan. So one should be more aware of these things. But any act of, you could say, any of these amals, these are also, you could say, more emphasized in terms of blessing and fadila in the month and blessed month of Ramadan. So one, practically, there's many different things that you can do, but some of our teachers mentioned that you could also cycle through different acts of worship depending on the day. So maybe one day you focus on the Hajjud, maybe one day you do Salat al-Tasbih, maybe one day you focus more on the other acts like the Dhikr. So you can do all of it in one, or you can cycle depending on your schedule. So this will also keep yourself motivated and refreshed, the different opportunities and different ways that one can worship. Just like we eat different foods, we enjoy different foods, one can also have some level of connection and enjoyment with the different forms and acts of worship, and they all have the different fadilah. So I hope this has answered the question. If Saad Abdul Rahim and Saad Majid also want to mention anything, they can add, or they should add.
So there is actually one last question, maybe, and then we can bring the webinar to a close. Is it possible to do salah, so pray with eyes closed, to gain more khushu, or presence in the prayer?
In relation to this, is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They gave example is that the eyes should be open, because even in different posture, when you are standing, your eyes should be focused on the where your prostration is, for example. And even when you're in, you say ruku, the eye should be at the prostration area. So really, what it shows is that the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is for the eyes to be open. Now, a lot of people can have eyes closed for concentration, but really it is better to have eyes open. Like I said, if you use the methodology of, bringing the 3 keys in mind, not to say the 3 keys, that Allah is with me, seeing me, or present with me, but to, in your heart, to utter this: Allah is with me. I am praying towards Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allah is seeing me. That I am standing, the way I am, what my thoughts are going through. They are hearing me, what I am saying, my recitation. And inshallah, more they practice it, then it becomes a habit really, than anything else. And inshallah, then they will gain more concentration, inshallah. But a person can have eyes closed, but it's really better that they have it open, because having it open is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, on another note, I think, which I wanted to explain, is that now, because it's the month, everyone's in lockdown, and one question that someone asked earlier today, or the other day, is that that if a person has cut relationship with relatives, how can they rejoin or etc. What's the solution for this? Now, especially at this time of lockdown, it is more important now that a person ponders upon themselves and their own relationship with the people, because it is a very good time to reconcile with people now. Because even in a hadith of the Prophet Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, a great Sahaba, that they have mentioned, they used to do gatherings Mondays and Thursdays, and in their Thursday majlis and gathering, they said to the people that any one of you who have severed the relationship with people, you should get up and leave, go home. And people were quite shocked that we have come for zikr, we have come for worship, and now we've been told to leave. And he, radiallahu anhu, then pointed to the blessed grave of the Prophet ﷺ, which was on their right, and said, not long ago that this person here, this person here has mentioned to us, and they started to weep at this point. They started to weep and said that the amals of the people are presented on the Friday, meaning the Thursday night, are presented to Allah Azza wa Jalla. That the angels take the amals of people to Allah Azza wa Jalla, any good deeds, any fast, etc., except they reconcile. And Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu mentioned that, I say, if this type of people are in this gathering, and maybe even me as being a Sahaba, that even my amals and my dua will not be accepted as well. So I'm fearful of this, that all these people have come here for dua, and they want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they ask him dua, that I'm fearful even their duas will not be accepted. So you can see that the importance of reconciling and bringing and tying relationship with people again. So even you can say even the amals of the people are pending. Imagine pending until you reconcile with the people as well. So even this comes to one of the hadiths of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have mentioned is that if you do one amal, then you receive 4 blessings. 4 blessings. And the Sahaba, the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, what is this that we do? If you do one amal, they said that the blessings are that you will be increased in rizq, your rizq will be increased, your blessings in your life, the barakah in your life will increase, and you'll have a good death, and your worldly life will become at ease. Imagine 4 blessings. Rizq will be increased, your barakah in your life, good death, and the worldly life will become easy. The Sahabas were like, Ya Rasulullah, tell us this amal, which amal is this? Is it any tasbih? Is it any zikr that we do? And the Prophet ﷺ said to the nearest meaning that salatul rahm, meaning that have good ties with your relations, have strengthened the relations with the people who are close to you. Imagine the blessings, imagine all of these blessings are put together if you have good ties with the relations, with your family relation. Second thing is that we do not choose the relation that we are with. We don't choose our parents. We don't choose our cousins, our uncles, our friends, our neighbors. Everyone has been chosen specifically for us, how we're going to be tested by them. So this is a great time that you are able to look. Many people are dying now, and you should really contact these people that you have severe relations with them. Try your best to reconcile. You should do your best, make a phone call at this time. Try your best to resolve this, because if you can do this, then you have done your best. Then you can say the right has been distributed, it's been discharged. Then inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inshallah take his part and forgive you in the day of judgment. But you should do your very best to reconcile with the creation, especially before the month of Ramadan comes, especially. So this is a great time, especially, people are dying every day. People die anyway, especially this virus. Many close people in your relation, I'm sure that at least someone in your relation have died recently because of this virus. It could happen to anyone. So this again is a reminder Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending us. We should reconcile before before they leave this world, these people, inshallah. So may Allah enable us to resolve these matters, and especially with close relationship, inshallah, that we can resolve and reconcile relationship.
Alhamdulillah. So I think we've come to the close of our webinar. Just to remind you, the Wise Life Academy link has been shared, and the upcoming webinars, you'll be able to sign up for them following that link. Again, if there's any questions, you have our email as well, wiselifeglobal@gmail.com, and feel free to reach out and ask any questions, and the materials from this that have been mentioned in this particular webinar will be shared with you as a follow-up via email as well. We take the opportunity to now also thank our ustads for giving up their time and opening up the opportunity and sharing this wonderful presentation with us. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.